Now, we all know and love Mandalorians. Mandalorians are one of the most cool Star Wars subjects or people within the Star Wars universe that are still really powerful warriors and very deadly, yet they are not force sensitive. They are essentially just very highly skilled, very highly trained Iron Men. And they had such a lasting impact on the galaxy that even the clones that were conscripted later on borrowed aspects from their armor. Not that it was Beskar, but their armor plating looked very similar to what a Mandalorian would wear. But besides all that, the question still stands, how did the Mandalorians necessarily fight against Jedi back in the day? If you guys don't know, there was a whole war called the Mandalorian Jedi War. Jedi having to fight Mandalorians was not necessarily an easy task for them, although they do have the advantage in every single last way. The first way I'll explain it is that the Mandalorians had a warrior culture already established. Mandalorians, much like Vikings in the past, find very great honor in fighting and dying in the battlefield. You pair this fighting mentality and their warrior culture with their already established and very high technological advances, at least when it comes to weaponry, and you get a very capable fighting machine. Many Jedi were very caught off guard by the Mandalorians and didn't really take them seriously. So then when they would engage in fights with them and they're flying around with their jetpack, firing at them, and with the very precise blaster shots, they didn't know what to do. The Jedi felt overwhelmed. And for those of you who do not know, the way you actually take out a Jedi easily with a blaster is you overwhelm their midsection. So by concentrating fire directly on the center of a Jedi's chest or anywhere near their lightsaber, things like that, it would eventually overwhelm them because their senses overload. They can't block everything, and once you surround them in a complete circle, then it becomes very difficult for a Jedi to block every single last blaster fire because now they have to concentrate on the ones behind them, in front of them, to the side of them, everywhere. So that's the easiest way to take out a Jedi. And this is something that the Mandalorians would do very easily, and they could even do it themselves. The way they do it themselves is they incorporate their jetpack and all their technology at their exposure. With all their blasters, their jetpacks, their rockets, even the weakest Jedi or some of the strongest Jedi would have a hard time. And not everybody would be able to catch a Mandalorian because of how quickly they moved. Another thing too that they would do is they would weaponize their environment. They would use everything and anything that they could use to counter a Jedi. Mandalorians also trained to study Jedi. They knew all their movements, they knew what they would think. So what they would do is they would train to counteract all the Jedi's force abilities. And they also knew that the Jedi were very skilled with a lightsaber in close quarters, but if they can get that lightsaber away from them, they knew that they could beat them. So take their lightsaber completely away and they would completely lose the ability to focus. At least some Jedi would lose the ability to focus. Some can beat you with the Force very easily, while others rely heavily on their lightsaber. Another way that the Mandalorians would fight against Jedi is they would hide their emotions. They would train their minds to be able to fight, and this was just in any fight, not just against Jedi, but they would train their minds to not give away their intentions. So when a Jedi attempted to read a Mandalorian's next move, they really couldn't because they would just be fighting almost like a brick. It's almost like fighting a brick wall. There was nothing going on inside of a Mandalorian's head. They were just reacting and moving. They made sure that their mental aptitude was very strong and very well rounded so that they could be able to take on any opponent. And it naturally worked as a great counter against Jedi. And the last reason why Mandalorians were so good against Jedi is because they were good at adapting. They had a strong adaptability factor that they can adapt to any battle, any terrain that they were on, and they knew how to fight and maneuver it very easily. This also factors into their warrior culture though. Every Mandalorian was bred and knew how to fight very easily and at a very early age. All this factors into why Mandalorian were such a great match for the Jedi. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. May the Force be with you, and as always, have a great rest of your day.